I call 7, 8 at night, and some guy answers the phone. And he goes, hello? And I knew I was calling the label, and I'm like, oh, hey, my name is, and I'm looking for an intern. And he cuts me off. I didn't even get the word internship out. And he literally goes, what the fuck are you doing calling on a Sunday night? And he starts cussing at me. And I hang up the phone, and I'm like, whatever that was awesome. I want more of that.
Hello, thank you for joining us at In the Thick of It. You're going to notice I'm in a new studio. I'm super excited. And I have my guest here is Brian Gross. So, Brian.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. You're not a big titty woman. People are like, why?
They already tuned out. They already left.
Yeah, but you know what they don't know?
Tell me.
That you are behind the fame of a lot of these big titty women.
Fair, valid statement. True.
Some of their favorite stars.
Yeah, for a very long time, too.
A very long time.
A couple stories we'll go through.
Yes.
1 or 20, who knows what the number will end with.
I mean, let's just rock and roll.
Let's do this.
Okay, so you are in PR.
Correct.
What is, okay, when I've called you, and you're like, I'm at the office, and I'm like, what do you do? What is PR exactly?
Well, sometimes I don't even know, but what I'm doing in the office. But what I'm doing in public relations is getting media attention for my clients. And media is a really broad word. There's public relations and media relations. Public obviously deals with the public, trying to get your clients or whoever you're working with out there. Media is specific to different types of media. We now live in the era of social media, which has become a media unto itself.
Yes.
You know, someone can carry weight and change things with their audience on whatever platforms they have. So my daily grind is finding these people, pitching them my clients, whether it's radio, whether it's podcasts, whether it's television, whether it's print media, which still exists, magazines and whatnot. Online is obviously the biggest, where we read and are fed all of this information that goes out there. And I'm doing it domestically, United States, and internationally, dealing with media all over the world. South America, Europe, UK, Asia, Australia. So It's a lot. There's a lot of people out there, and I try my best to keep track of them.
How do you find new people? Not specifically clients, but you obviously have to have a lot of relationships across the globe.
Yeah, and a lot of it is research. A lot of it is a great team that I have that helps me with that. Okay. A lot of it is other publicists that have different groups that I've been in for decades, where we share information. It's a combination of everything. People reaching out to me, people that I'm finding blindly. The one thing I have, or have had to have had, is a thick skin, or thick. Oh. But I have a thick skin of like, hey, I'm going to cold email, call, text, Skype, send a pigeon out to these people. And since 1999, I've been pushing sex and porn and all this wild stuff their way, and not everyone's a fan. Yeah. Newsflash. Yeah. So I've definitely gotten my share of messages that I wouldn't say in this sort of medium of what they say, but they're not nice.
Right.
But there are plenty of people who respect the adult industry, want to learn more, want to promote it, want to get inside, so to speak. Right. So that's the challenge. That's part of the daily grind of what I do.
I don't know if you can share who some of your clients are.
I mean, I have a wide range of clients, whether it's talent, whether it's production companies, whether it's events. I like to keep that vague as far as I work with a lot of different stuff, and I've had, I did the math. I looked one day, I don't know, months ago, and in 26 years, I've had over 550 clients. Some have been a couple months, some have been a decade. It's really all over the place in that regard. But I love the people that I work with. I always love the people, the events that I've worked on. And it's been a wide range. I mean, I've literally worked with the Kabbalah. I was hired a few months to do some publicity for them ages ago.
Really?
And on a higher end, as far as notoriety, I worked with Gene Simmons on a few projects, and that was a lot of fun. I worked with Sasha Grey on the Girlfriend Experience campaign back in 2009, 2010, which was a film she starred in, directed and written by Steven Soderbergh. And then when I got into the adult industry, when I started at Vivid in 99, the very first project was working with the band Blink-182.
What?
Because we had the Vivid girl Janine on the cover of the album Enema of the State.
Is that the one with like the nurse?
Yes.
Oh.
So that's Janine. And that was a wild project. It culminated, we were in New York for the Howard Stern Show and the MTV Music Awards, which literally were held on September 9th, 1999, 9/9/99.
Wow. And by the way, MTV, rest in peace.
I know.
That's wild.
You know, and I've worked with them over the years. I've had clients on MTV. I mean, you name it. So, I mean, it is kind of sad, although the irony is how big music videos are now. Like the viewership on YouTube and different platforms is like bigger than ever. But there was a great article recently written about sort of its demise, and it just didn't, hang on to where it could have still been viable in the way it was when we were growing up.
Interesting. Well, because you're bringing up music and stuff. You were in you started
Correct.
your work in PR in music.
I was a senior in high school when I interned at a record label.
Oh, that's how this whole journey started.
It started with me taking out my CDs, compact discs. I
still have CDs.
I still have mine too.
By the way, my child, who's a teenager now, is like, I've given her, she's stolen all my CDs.
That's amazing.
Boom box,
Yeah.
and she's like jamming to some vintage shit, and I'm like, I love this.
Yeah, it's so cool when you have that, right?
Yeah.
Cassettes are
Yes.
certain artists will produce cassettes of their work still.
Really? Okay.
Whether they're collectors or whatnot.
I've seen a lot of vinyl.
Vinyl's obviously a big deal. Vinyl becomes, well, that's the thing, the margin, that's where your greatest margin is, right?
That makes
Printing
sense.
vinyl versus what you're selling, the different colors, the exclusivity of it, how many you produce. You can produce them and then there's a margin there unlike anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I picked up my CDs, right? This is a funny story. It was a Sunday night and I realized I wanted to be an intern at a record label. I didn't know anything else. I didn't even
random Sunday night.
It was random. So I had a CD and the record label was A&M Records.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm going to leave a voicemail on their general voicemail. Hey, I'm looking for an internship, blah, blah, blah. Are we allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I call 7, 8 at night and some guy answers the phone. And he goes, hello? And I knew I was calling the label. And I'm like, oh, hey, my name is, and I'm looking for an intern. And he cuts me off. I didn't even get the word internship out. And he literally goes, what the fuck are you doing calling on a Sunday night? And he starts cussing at me. And I hang up the phone. And I'm like, whatever that was awesome. I want more of that. But I kept, so that week I called other record labels and they wouldn't accept high school students for internships. Only, you had to be in university, you had to be in college.
Oh.
But I found one, Deaf American Recordings.
Okay.
And the woman who answered the phone was the last hiring, which meant I had called during the lunch hour and she was covering the phones for the receptionist. She could have been in any department. My life would be completely different. She happened to be in the PR department. And she's like, come meet here. I put on a nice shirt and tie and I drove down and literally the person I met with who sat me down in the middle of this, it was in Burbank in this beautiful office area, goes, you'll never wear that again in here. So you don't need to dress like that.
You're overdressed, kid.
And she handed me a bunch of CDs, which was like amazing. Now I've got free CDs.
Yeah.
And she said, come in 3 days a week and you'll learn about publicity in the music industry. And so my senior year, 3 days a week, I would drive from Newbury Park High School to Burbank, California, to this building that also housed a radio station in LA known as K-Rock. So I would see artists. I was in the elevator accidentally one time with Depeche Mode. It was very bizarre. Like there was like a crowd outside and I'm like trying to get through and I get in the elevator. I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn around and I'm like, Depeche Mode standing behind me. Okay. Wow. So they got off at like the 11th floor. I got off at the 15th. But I met so many incredible musicians and people. I still have friendships with a lot of people that were working at the record label at the time. Spent time, met Rick Rubin, the founder of the label. But it was 3 days a week, going to Burbank, hanging out with musicians, getting CDs, learning about media and public relations. And it was one of the best educational experiences possible.
Wow.
So,
but I would imagine if I'm a teenager and I'm like running into Depeche Mode and shit, in my mind, I'm thinking, I want to be a musician. But you stayed in the PR lane.
well, I was a choir boy. So
I was in
sang.
choir. Me too.
So I sang.
Love it.
From 6th grade. I had a scholarship. I got a scholarship to Northern Arizona for music education to be in choirs.
I think I remember. You were actually a was it opera?
No, I mean, I didn't sing opera, no.
Oh,
but I mean,
okay.
I sang Tchaikovsky, and we sang
Okay.
the entire Handel's Messiah, which I was hungover and I fell asleep
Of course.
in the middle of like 2,000 people in this massive auditorium in Flagstaff. That was fun.
That's a good story.
But no, but I loved singing and I loved music, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't play, didn't learn an instrument. One of the bigger regrets, like I don't have that sort of thing. Tried to in college, didn't work, but read music, through high school
Can
and
you sight sing?
college. I could. It's been a minute.
Me too.
Don't test me. I will probably
Like, where's the
fail.
music? Wait.
I will fail miserably in this moment, and never mind. I feel like I got a scratchy Stevie Nicks voice at this.
I mean,
moment.
that could be sexy.
Some, for some calls or whatnot. But no, I did. I love music. I sang, and I wanted to be in the music industry, and I wanted to be around musicians, and I wanted to be around these people, and I just was engrossed. And no one understood from my hometown what the fuck I was doing. They were like, "You're what's an intern?" They all worked at the pizza shop. They all worked wherever. I mean, my first job was Taco Bell. You know what I mean? They worked locally. They didn't, venture out of, the Conejo Valley.
Yeah, but that's the part I find interesting is I think a lot of young people, not to say anything bad about young people, but they don't really think to put on a nice shirt and start calling companies. Like, what's the phone number to this place? I feel like there's a level of, I don't know, just ambition and just drive that you can't really teach that.
No, I don't know where I got it.
You just
no
kind of did
explanation.
this thing that most people wouldn't do.
I just knew this is what I wanted. I mean, I loved my first concert was my freshman year, and it was like, I want to go see as much live music as I can. I can't afford it. How can I do it? Well, when you worked at a record label, you were handed tickets. Do you want to go see this? Do you want to go see that? I mean, honestly, in my time in the music industry from 93 to 99, I mean, I was seeing music, live music, minimum 5 nights a week. Minimum. So, and I still have friends who work at certain places that when I see their posts, like I have one of my closest friends, he's at shows maybe 7 nights a week, I don't have that juice now, and it's such a different time because the things I saw, the artists I saw, I saw David Bowie on Halloween at the Hollywood Palladium. The week before, I saw Ozzy Osbourne at the Hollywood Palladium. So it's like the things that I saw, the first, I wouldn't call it the first major Nine Inch Nails tour, although I ran into the guitarist a few weeks ago, but in 94, they did 4 nights at this venue called the Universal Amphitheater, which anyone listening from LA knows it was one of the greatest musical venues. It's now Harry Potter land, but at the time, it was like this amazing musical venue. They did 4 nights. I went to night 2. It was pouring down rain, and Trent Reznor was throwing shit all over the stage, and my jaw hit the floor. Because it was the Downward Spiral tour. It was that album. So they played most between that and its first 2 albums. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
So, I mean, but you would have shows like that. I'd be at the Roxy. I'd be at the Whiskey. I'd be at the Viper Room. I'd be up and down Sunset Boulevard. I'm not old enough to have been part of the metal scene. I was too young to ravage through Sunset, but I did work with Motley Crue, and I did work with Metallica, and I worked with bands that did live through that scene and then worked their way into the 90s and say what you will about their cosmetic changes or their musical changes and whatnot. But it was a very powerful time where massive albums came out in the 90s, and I got to work with a nice heavy amount of them.
Yeah. It's like icons.
Yeah.
On icons, on top of icons.
And then I was writing about music too. I would interview bands because the whole trick was, how do you get free shit? Well, if you write about music and you have some journalism cred, I was interviewing bands and I was getting free tickets. I called the publicist for Nirvana. This was in 90, so this is 94. They're playing the Forum, December, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I believe it was December 30th, 1994. Nirvana at the Los Angeles, Great Western Forum, Los Angeles. And weeks before that, I called, and I was just ballsy. And I called him like, hey, I want to interview Kurt Cobain. And his name's Dennis. He goes, no chance in hell, but I'm going to give you a ticket to the concert. And so I saw Nirvana at the Forum in 1994.
Wow.
So I don't know, you're just ballsy. And then when I shifted to the adult industry, the adult film stars at Vivid, when I got hired, I treated them the same as the rock stars I worked with. And it was an easy transition for me to where you just had to be fearless. Whether you're working music, whether you're working porn, whatever it is, if you're promoting something that's not of the center, you better have a thick skin to what you're going to take on.
Do you feel like that was a similarity between those two industries, where it's like you've got rock and roll, so it's not center, but then you have adult industry? Because it makes me want, like, what was the thought process of, I'm going to move on from music, but let me go to adult?
Well, it was an opportunity. I was asked to come in and interview at Vivid for the head of PR and marketing in February of 94. February of 99, sorry. February of 99, the person already in the job who I was friends with, whose girlfriend at the time I worked with at the record label, funny enough, it was a small circle of people. Like, we all knew each other.
Oh.
And so we were all close and helping each other out. And he was actually moving to a division at Vivid to really ramp up the web part of Vivid and really get the internet stuff going for that company. And I was also really good friends with the owner's brother, and they both just went to the owner and said, hey, you should interview Brian. He might be really good for this position. He's a tour publicist at Elektra Records. He's working with Metallica and this and that. But, I was only getting paid so much as a West Coast tour publicist. I was 23 at the time. And so I went in, did the interview. And when he told me what he was going to pay me, it was like, yeah, okay, let's go. And the one thing the motto or creed or whatever you want to call it, I've lived by is always like, why not? So I've always had a circle of friends that I run things by. And at that time I had really good mentors and whatnot. And I still do, the ones that are around. And I'd be like, what do you think? And when I said, what do you think, to me working in the adult industry, they were so gung-ho. They were all in, all of them.
Wow.
Because it was like just an incredible opportunity. And it was with the biggest company in the world, arguably, at the time in the adult industry. And it was like, why not? I'm going to go be the head of PR and marketing for Vivid Video. So I accepted the job. Another funny story?
Yes. Give us all the stories.
Oh, so I met someone, a female, on a cruise the summer prior. And we stayed in touch, whatever. She didn't live in LA. She comes to LA. It was President's Weekend. So Monday, the offices were closed at Elektra, but Vivid was still open. So I interviewed on President's Day. And she spent the weekend with me, right? And we had a good time, went to Disneyland and this and that, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, I've got a job interview. I'll be right back. So I go to the interview. I come back. She's like, how'd it go? I'm like, I think it went really good. She's like, well, what's the company? I'm like, well, it's called Vivid. She's like, well, what's that? And I'm like, well, it's an adult film company. She's like, that's disgusting. And in the back of my mind, I just thought, and you're leaving on a plane tomorrow. So I'm not going to judge my choice of careers on your opinion. Thank you, though. I appreciate your opinion. Yeah. So I just went, okay. And she flew and I never saw her again.
Yeah.
That was that. But it was she had an opinion.
A very strong one.
Very strong one. And people do. People do. I get it. But it was just a very fascinating moment of like, ooh, what am I going to be in for when I take this ride into the adult industry? And needless to say, I've dealt with a few of those opinions in my career.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I even had somebody with that when I was telling someone I want to have a podcast and it's something I've wanted to do for years and I'm going to do this. And it was just like, it's really saturated. It's just not really a great idea. And I was like, oh, so this is a person who likes to shit on your dreams. Okay.
Goodbye.
Yeah. I'm not going to forget that one.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there are 5 million podcasts right now.
Yeah.
So what?
Who cares?
Now there's 5,000,001. You know, I mean, you have to have that attitude though, because that goes with anything. Anyone who picked up a guitar and started music, well, there's 5 million guitarists in the world. What are you going to do about it? You know, there's God knows how many singers, right? We have X amount of these singing shows that we sit through and watch, you know? So it's like, yeah, you can not do it because there's a lot of something, but there's a lot of everything. And if you let that stop you, you're just going to live in a basement and troll.
Yeah, which some people do, but maybe this
Plenty.
will inspire them to try something.
I mean, I've always been attracted to or had relationships with people who are just doing something.
Yeah.
You know, you get an energy from that.
Well, and it sounds like you're good at surrounding yourself with people like that.
I try. I'm not perfect. We've all made our mistakes with humans and humanity, so
Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, every person, but I've definitely learned, I've definitely experienced, and yeah, my circle right now is, and I've always had a pretty incredible circle of people. I've always been really proud of the friends I have, and I always say they're all smarter than me, and I think
That's a good thing.
you always want to be not the smartest person in the room. It's really important.
Yeah. How do you manage the downside of things? Because I know we've talked about this before where you're, as you mentioned, you have to have a thick skin, right?
Yeah.
And so wouldn't you say this kind of work is also a little transient as far as clients come, go,
Yeah.
they pick up, they drop off? Like,
Yeah.
how do you manage that?
It's balancing your emotional involvement. You know, it's no different than an athlete, right? An athlete can't get too high with a win, can't get too low with a loss. It's all about having been there before. Yeah, you enjoy the win, experience it, but there will be losses. And it's how you deal with those more than the wins in many cases. So, and I'm a competitive person. I'm born and raised on sports. And so sports are narratives that I've run in my entire life. You just, you know, when that happens, you just, you know, eliminate your sort of emotional component. One of the most intense lessons I was ever taught, I was the assistant to the publicist for the Lollapalooza Tour in 1994. I was just out of college, my 1-year college, and got a job. I was making $3-4 an hour. I was working 12 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
It was one of the hardest jobs of my life. But at one point, this person that I worked for, I forget exactly what the conversation was, but she got in my face, like right here. And she's like, never get starstruck, ever. And when someone feeds that to you in that sort of way at a really young age.
Intense exchange, yeah.
That's it. And so I've never been. There's no room for it. You treat people like people, and the people I've met and had conversations with, I'm still amazed, you know, of that. But never be starstruck and treat people like people. So with that regard into my clients, they're people. Some are more famous than others. Some want to be more famous than I'm trying to help them in that regard. But ultimately, they're people. And people come and go. People go through things. There's so much. And it's more than just me. And so you keep all that in mind as far as having some sort of emotional intelligence when you're working, when you're promoting someone, when someone hires me and then, you know, says, you know, our time has ended or whatnot. You just roll with the punches, really.
I imagine that would be so hard because I'm in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do all this work for this client and I'm going to get them on a magazine cover and I'm going to get them this show or this spot on a TV show or something. And I get so excited for them because it came through and it landed and it's so exciting. And then they decide to part ways. And I can imagine me if I'm in that situation and I haven't gotten the thick skin that you're talking about, I would just be like, bitch, what? What? Yeah. So I'm imagining that it's over a period of time. You just have to get used to that.
Thick skin.
Yeah.
I've had that experience. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a number on it. And it's a part of, it's a part of the job.
Do you think it's any industry though?
Oh, every industry, as far as anyone in my position, anything to do with fame and success without, forget fame, but any sort of, if people feel success. I've called it the Frankenstein syndrome in my career.
Okay.
And it's, in essence, if you're starting with someone, you're kind of building someone up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know how Frankenstein turned out and what that turned into. And fame's a funny thing because in my life, I've definitely seen people go from nothing to something and seen how they handle it and how they change. And I've seen people become better people and I've seen people become worse. So you witness and you have to stand back. You have to take a step back because you're going to get yelled at. You're going to suffer the consequence of sort of that building up this person into something bigger and how they handle it, and then you see the other way, right? I've definitely witnessed the rise and fall of humans in the game of entertainment and fame and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And there's the adage, what goes up must come down. People want and now we live in an age where people want fame yesterday. And if I have X amount of followers, I'm famous and I should be treated that way.
Oh.
And the expectations and what they demand. And someone in my position has to roll with those punches because that person might have changed really quickly. But in many cases, and it's not perfect, the faster you rise, the potential is the faster you will fall. And you have to leverage, you have to be smart. You have to know nothing lasts forever. And what are you going to do? And, if you make a lot of money in whatever it is you do, hopefully you're putting it away. But we've seen in all industries what happens to people. Greed, money, this and that. It changes people. And we see that change in what they turn into.
Interesting. I'm kind of imagining like the era of content creators and how, like what you're talking about, how it's really changing and it can change really quickly.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in PR, the way you approach things is different? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you used to pick up a phone, email, all the things, right?
Rolodex.
You just fucking dated yourself so hard.
I turned 50. I'm okay with that. This thing
It's a giveaway.
This thing sells itself. I mean, to your point, I know what you're asking. In my position, someone in my position has to be open to change. You have to be open to whatever the medium is, however people want to be contacted, however people are. You're constantly changing, evolving. People go, the one thing I stress about every day is different. I'm here with you today, right? This day is going to be different than tomorrow, which was different than yesterday. Every day in my world is completely different. However my day starts, whatever the email, the text, the phone, whatever it is, the day is different. So it's never boring. Let's be honest. It's never boring. So there's always something, and you have to be ready to handle it.
How, would you have any advice for somebody who maybe struggles with relationships? And I mean, just as far as just being comfortable answering a phone call, because obviously your whole business is founded on relationships.
It's practice. It's funny. And again, 10,000 hours or 10,000 shots, like the adages that we grew up with, those terminologies, those things that have been sort of, they're real in almost every practice. When I started and I was at Elektra, right? I got the job. I was an intern, and then an intern again, worked at Lollapalooza, got an assistant job, then got like a real publicist job. And I went to one of my mentors, and which it was her old position. She was now, running a department. And I said, hey, will you help me? And she sat me down and she just laid out how it is, how it works. And I've had some incredible, incredible people throughout my career give. And I've tried to do the same. it's a giving type of industry, public relations. You're not hoarding, you're not keeping people to yourself. You have to help others.
Well, and to your point, you've always been helpful to me.
Well, thanks.
Because I've always been like, hey, Brian, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? And you've never been a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
You've always been very, try this, do that.
Well, you want it, but I hope I have the ability to recognize people that want it, that want, versus, and I'll get into it in a second of like a good client versus a bad client, because it's real simple. But, going back to sort of this person sat me down when I started, now I'm a publicist. I've got 20 bands on the road. I've got a cold. It was practice. It was leaving tons of, it was getting yelled at. Like I remember there was a music writer at the Houston Chronicle, and this was when I worked on Lollapalooza, who cursed me out because of a ticket situation. He was just an asshole. And I got that experience at 19 years of age, being cursed out by this person and going to my boss and be like, yo, this dude is like up my ass. And she talked me through it, and we talked through it, and it was fine. And that's just who he was. At the end of the day, I wasn't going to change that person. That's who he was. Mm-hmm. But it's practice. It's the emails. It's the phone calls, because you build up a confidence once you start doing it. Once you get those put downs and those fuck yous and those leave me alones and everything, you're like, okay, I can handle this. Because you also get the positives. You build the relationships, you build the friendships, you meet these people. I was traveling with a lot of the band. I mean, the greatest band I ever worked with was Metallica, period. It's not even close. And I built a rapport with every member in the band in some capacity. And then I would go on the road with them, and I would do, whether it was like just weekends, I didn't do full tours. I wasn't on a bus, but I'd fly into certain cities. Lars would pull pranks on me. Like it was awesome. It was amazing. I was scared shitless because you didn't want to fuck up, because that kind of stuff. But it's practice. It really is. It's just that rapport, and it's just building the relationships and the cold calls. Because I still got I'm going to have to cold call people and cold email. Before I even got here, I sent a cold email to a journalist, who's half a world away, because, hey, I want to try and see if we can work together on something. So you have to be fearless. You have to. But it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but I don't think it's in books. I don't think it's in a classroom, to be blunt. And I've spoken to public relations classes, and I've given my spiel and taken questions. At the end of the day, you have to go out and do it. And I just did. I went to college and fucked off for a year and came back and realized, all right, let's go. And it was so much easier. It was so different. It was the 90s were so much different as far as working your way up, and there were so many jobs in the record industry. It's different now. A younger generation has completely different challenges. But I didn't have, I had to make phone calls. I had to leave voicemails. Emails were, they were something, but that was it. I wasn't texting anybody, you had to follow up. You had to make notes, people left on their voicemail. Hey, I'm out of town till this date. All right, I'll call them back on this date,
Yes. And now people are like, who's calling me? Why is my phone ringing?
And we're just so quick, right? We're so quick. We're so quick to judge. We're so quick. And that's just where we're at. But to that point, I've had to adjust to that, right? Mm-hmm. Like I have to adjust to whatever the communication is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about the different ways people reach out to you, people reach out to me, you and I communicate. Like the funniest thing is you and I alone will text, we'll DM, we'll talk on the phone, we're here in person. Like that's 4 different ways with one human being, one-on-one. Like it's crazy, right? When you start to break down and I email you. So yeah, there's 5.
Email, Instagram, texting.
There's probably been a Twitter DM at some point.
Probably a Twitter one, yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, it can get, if you really think about it, it could probably be pretty overwhelming.
Oh, for sure.
Holy shit, I'm talking to someone 5 different ways. I mean, Skype died. There was Skype, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's age myself. AOL Instant Messenger, Friendster. I'm going to go all the way back to AOL chat rooms and Prodigy, and I've fully aged myself because the first person I ever met was in a Prodigy chat room in the early 90s. So it's like, here we go. It's like there's just been this evolving of how we communicate with each other. It's crazy.
And I think people just, it's like you said, practicing, but just pushing yourself a little bit beyond what you're comfortable with. Because I think just people struggle in general.
I'm never comfortable. And there's a great David Bowie quote that I'm going to ruin to the nth degree, but it's, you should find yourself, he says it involves, in his is in regard to art, but it really is everything. You should find yourself in a place where if you're in a pool of water, your feet barely touch the ground and your head is barely above the water. And that is the place where you're going to be the most successful. Not with your feet planted and your head above and you're breathing and not completely submerged. It is that middle ground that you will find your sort of renaissance or what have you. It's the same in my world. I'm never comfortable. My world's never comfortable. And that's where you have to find the comfortability or find the things that you can go, hey, I need a timeout. I think, we've talked about it. I'm in a yoga class an hour a day at night to like reset everything that I've gone through during the day.
Well, I imagine your brain is just going 1,000,000 miles a minute.
Yeah, I mean, having ADHD certainly doesn't hurt because it's just an endless roller coaster. But yeah, it's always going.
Yeah.
It's always going. Like, and you think about you and I sitting here having this conversation, and this is where the podcast has certainly blown up and become such a huge medium. It's someone's listening to us talk, but also we're engaged with each other. The phones are put away. We're engaged. We're letting our guard down for what it's worth. And we're in tune with each other. And I think there's an irony that we have this medium with millions and millions of these conversations, but the outside world is so disconnected, right? Like this doesn't occur as much as it should, and certainly not as much as it used to in human times. But we do it, and now we record it, and people watch it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, I think about that when my kids were young, they would watch these YouTube videos of other kids playing with toys.
Oh, the greatest is I've watched young adults and kids watch people playing video games. Now, I loved video games. I'll still play. I haven't played a video game forever. I have a PS5 somewhere in the house, blah, blah, blah. And I played it a lot during the pandemic, right?
Okay.
Like played FIFA soccer and all that. But I grew up, like my first unit system was in Intellivision. So I played. But the thought of watching someone and not playing, that is just like, okay, y'all do what you do. I want to fucking play.
Yeah.
Like I love going to sporting events, but I've played sports as well. Like I get that itch, whether the 50-year-old body can keep up is a different story. But like people watch people play video games. It's a thing. It's massive. Now the pushback is the video game world and where it's gone is no different than any sort of competition. Right? It's a competitive world.
Right.
It's $1 billion world, if not more, possibly the trillion, because you've got stadiums built for this stuff. You have people of all ages and sexes and races and worldwide who participate. You have this online community. It's massive, right? Yeah. It's massive. So yeah, people are going to watch other people do it. So I get it. I'm just a guy who wants to play.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to sit and watch you. I want to play. It was a classic fighting over controllers when you were like 10 years old and you had a Nintendo or whatnot and someone wouldn't give it up because they were playing Super Mario Brothers for 2 hours and you had to punch them in the face so you could have your controller and then a fight breaks out.
Of course. I had a Nintendo. I actually play Roblox.
Okay.
And I've thought about recording it and putting it online, but I'm like, I don't know. It's too much work. I just want to play. Like you talked about.
I mean, you could record, put online. God knows how many people would watch.
I know.
You'd be probably shocked.
I like to play with my kids, and they'll even get their friends, and they get them on speakerphone, and so I'm like, we're in the game, and it gets intense.
But that's a beautiful thing because that's with you and your children. You're having this time with them, and I'm a big, it's all about whatever a child likes or another person likes, and you can be with them and enjoy whatever it is they're doing.
Yes.
I'm all for that.
Well, and I love that I speak their language.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fun.
Because, like, we were playing 99 Nights in the Forest, if anybody knows what that is. It's kind of a newer game. Yeah. And so, there's certain features of the game, and they're talking about it, and I'm like, I know what they're talking about, and I get excited with them instead of just like, what are you talking about?
I mean, on a different note, and it's kind of weird to make this transition, but obviously Twitch is such a massive medium that involves all people, young and old, and there's been plenty of adult industry people that have been on Twitch.
I've seen that.
Massive.
I've seen that. I just think I don't play a lot of the games that everybody else plays. I'm just like, I don't know. I only got into it just to play with my kids.
Hey, it's a beautiful thing.
But kind of going back to what we were saying, it's still like the living your life and being in the moment thing, as opposed to watching other people live their lives and watching them have their moments. Kind of like, we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
I would love to see more people actually talking to each other and having conversations. I actually have been noticing lately that my time management, first of all, is just shit. I'm like, I really need to get better at this. But part of it is because I love talking to people. Yeah. And I'll walk my dog. And Buddy drags me to the dog park 3 times a day, and then I meet all the neighbors, and I know their dogs, and then I love their dogs, and it's just I spend so much time.
But I just don't know what the problem with that is, other than if you have to.
It's just a time thing.
Yeah, and you have to manage. You'll figure that out. Like it's life,
But I love it though, because I really enjoy it. Like, we're eye contact, like we're in it.
Yeah.
And I love that. That to me is like the juicy parts of life.
Yeah.
I think when you're just kind of checked out and going through the motions, how you said every day is different.
Yeah.
If you don't keep your eyes open and stay kind of in tune with nuance, you're gonna miss it.
Well, I'm a big believer in pendulum swings. So I mean, if we're one way, another generation comes and does the complete opposite. And I think I do believe and hope that whatever negatives there are out there that need to be worked through, other people will come in and do it and work through it and make those positive changes.
Well, I did want to ask you, at one point I remember talking to you because I was like, I don't think I can afford to pay you as I need to make the dollars. Maybe I can now, I don't know. But I was asking you before, what does somebody need to be working on for themselves before they're ready to come to a publicist? Because you kind of want to lay the groundwork.
Yeah, the publicist is the last hiring of your brand, right?
Okay.
You got to build everything. You got to, in this day and age, you've got to have, if you're an adult, right? You're on your platforms. You've set up your platforms, and there's roughly over 30 different platforms, which could eat up all your time, right?
Right.
So you're going to figure it out which platforms are best for you. And best for you, honestly, is what makes you the most money in that particular period of time, right? Mm-hmm. What builds you the larger audience? What gets your brand built larger and larger? Whatever platform that is. I'm not going to name any, but there's plenty, and someone can. I have these conversations with clients and non-clients all the time, and I learn so much from what they tell me. This platform's good for me. This one isn't. This one's great. This one's not. It matters on the person and sort of how they work and what they do and how that works. So you've got your platforms. You might have your personal website. You might be building a podcast. You might be you might be a journal. You might be writing. There's all kinds of things, right? There's so much. So you get all that. I'm the one who takes what you're doing and pushes it out there. I'm the one who promotes all the work you're doing. So it's really important that, all your bases are set. All your socials are up and running and doing what they're doing. It's a lot. And then are you doing it by yourself? Do you have a team? Am I coming in as part of a team to help you manage, to work with you? I'm a big team person. Doing all this stuff in the industry by yourself right now it's a
so
lot.
hard.
And I see, if I had 3, I might not. People of all types get overwhelmed. And I feel for them because it can be a lot. So how do you manage that? And each person is different. You have to figure that out. And like you said about time management, maybe it's two times to the dog park, and Buddy figures out, okay, I got one taken away because
we'll fight each other about who is going to take him this time.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm the one who presses and pushes everything you're doing and what you're working on. And the thing with publicity in this day and age and with people's attention spans and anything can be news. I have never been a gatekeeper in regards of I don't know what's going to stick. I mean, my line is I could think, oh my God, everyone's going to love this and nobody cares. And I could think this thing has no chance and it goes viral. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Let's find out. Let's put it out there. You have nothing to lose. Literally nothing to lose in pressing information out there and seeing what sticks and what happens. There's nothing to lose. And if you have the budget to hire someone like myself and to really invest, because again, hiring me is an investment in your brand and in your company and in who you are. You're a brand. You know, that's the one thing I think that's one of the most important things. Whatever your name is, whoever you are a person, but you're a brand now. And you're a brand that's trying to create more of a presence.
Yes.
And so you have to treat yourself like a brand and a business. And so you have to do the things that a business would do. And you have to reinvest and whatnot in yourself, time, money, and everything else. So it's really important to have that mindset. And once you have that mindset, you go, well, what makes a business run? Really good people doing their jobs. Whatever that job is, whatever they're managing, however they're working with you, you want the best people that you do their job. I'm not a micromanager. I love my team. They do their job and they do it really well. And I'm grateful. And so I can focus on my job. And so I think that's really important is bringing people that fit into what you're doing, you know, and it can be one by one, you know, I mean, when you get in this industry, and I was talking to someone today about where they're at and they're in great, you know, they're like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm doing this, this, and this. I'm like, you're in great shape. You're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing. I had a conversation with someone and they're like, things are going. I'm like, the beauty of things are going is that they're not going bad. If things are going and they're moving in a positive direction, but your own mindset is like, I don't know, you're doing good because you're not complaining. You're not telling me about your problems. You're not sharing your windfalls. You're just being like, hey, things are going because that's a success. Here's the other thing about the adult industry. It's a revolving door. People get in and they get out in many cases. Right. I tend to work with people who have longevity, but I also work with people that get in and sometimes they literally come and go. Your success isn't as much about you. It's about you outlasting the people that don't stick around. Because fans of said person, when that person's gone, are going to go to someone else because that person's no longer. And if you're there, you've now picked up the fans. So it's one thing that I really stress, and anyone who's talked to me, I've said it to every single person every single time.
Yes.
Longevity is key. You know, you got to love this too. I'm not a pussyfooter. Like, don't dip your toes. Once you're in, you're in. Yes. Jump in the water, you know?
Yes. When I got started, I started on OnlyFans and I was working with amateurs for the first few months. And my mentor, I was just like, this is hard. How does this work? Because I'm really struggling with finding guys and whatever. He introduced me to some professionals and it just like up-leveled everything. Yeah. And he promoted me and it just took off right away. Right. And I just went full in. Like I went straight to doing boy-girl partnered scenes. Like there wasn't any part of me that was like,
you didn't half-ass it.
I didn't. I just went full on.
You know, and it's
Let's
it's a funny thing to say, but it's really true. Like one of the harder times in the industry I had in a period roughly in the 2000s where it's like a bunch of talent were getting in the industry, building a name, and didn't like being in the industry. Didn't like to have sex, didn't like to go on set, but
really?
Yeah. And it was like, this is a problem.
And there was like a group of people like that.
There was a few of them, and they had built a name or they had signed with certain companies as far as being contract stars. And I was, I had my PR company, obviously, and I was watching this going on and talking to people and going like, well, this isn't going to last. And it didn't, because one by one they left.
That's wild to me because I love being on set.
But some people, I mean, the adult industry isn't your most normal industry, you know?
I don't think anything's fucking normal either,
well,
but but it's just.
But we need insurance companies. We need accountants. We need lawyers. We need this, that, and whatnot. So there are things that are a necessity that those jobs will be there. Let's not get in the AI conversation. Let's ignore that. But there are people that have those jobs. Entertainment, all entertainment, all aspects, any form of entertainment can be considered a type of drug, right? Like whatever you watch, listen to, smell, taste, feel is a sensory change, just like a drug, right? So we're in the business of sensory changes. So with that in mind, that's not a normal thing if you really think about it,
That's an interesting
And
way
these
to think of it.
industries, when you think of entertainment, they're less than 100, 120 years old. If you really think of, obviously, the first film and the first, audio and whatnot. And obviously there's hieroglyphics that go back, and we've seen graphic hieroglyphics, and we've seen blah, blah, blah. So this isn't new as far as sort of the outlay of sexuality in a public platform. That's so many thousands and thousands of years. But that being said, in its current form, we're part of entertainment. And that's where it's sort of, quote, different.
I think you just said that very beautifully, because I'd never really thought of it that way.
I
know. I was like,
that's it. That's your deep moment. Cut that clip, use it for a take. It'll be great.
Well, any other little last minute stories or anything you'd want to share? Because you have so many stories.
I do. And I love to share them. I mean, some we can't share. Some you and I have shared privately, but oh my goodness. I mean, well, I'll
share one while you're thinking for a second, because it's when I knew who you were before I actually met you, because a friend of mine was like, oh yeah, this other BBW performer who's quite famous now hired him. She was coming up, she was working really hard, hired him, and all of a sudden she blew up and was this huge superstar. And I was like, wow. So I knew this track record you had of turning somebody into a star. Right.
I'll never take credit in that form. It's a team effort, and I appreciate that.
It's a team effort, and that was my
ego and my modesty is. But I love perception versus reality. I do. Sure. Like, the reality is, thank you. The perception of that size is like, wow, I'm honored.
That's what I had in my head. And then I remember meeting you at that party. Blush had an AVN party.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I didn't know that you were the person that I had been hearing about anyway. So, but you and we just had great chemistry to begin with. We were talking for so long, and it's like, wait a minute, we're at a party. We kind of need to mingle. Like,
well, it was funny. I got there, and people start coming in, right? And it's one of those things. You and I are talking, and people are coming in, and it was a BBW party, right?
Yes.
So at one point, the room's 5 people. At a certain point, it's all boobs. It's just, I remember talking to you, engulfed, tense conversation, pick my head up and go, oh, well,
curves everywhere.
The room changed. The room changed. It got a little different.
Oh, so wait, you didn't want to mingle. You got distracted by titties. That's what happened. You were like, oh, I gotta go.
No, I did one of those 7-minute lulls. We had a 7-minute lull. I looked up. And I went, the room is different than what it was 7 minutes ago. I'm a heterosexual male, so what do you want me to tell you? But that being said, that was a funny moment. You and I connecting, talking, blah, blah, blah. No one's there yet. And then like at one point we have this little, a lull, like I said. And I'm just like, wow, the room just changed. It just got
okay, well,
it got breasty.
Let's go say hi to other people.
Yeah, it was literally that too. And I had to go. I remember I had to leave to go to another thing. Like when I'm here for AVN, and my first AVN was 2000. So in one way, shape, or form, I've been working with AVN for 26 years, right? But I got brought on in 2008 as part of their team, and then I took over the publicity for the expo in 2012, I want to say. And so Vegas in January is like, it's, I'm here prepping, I'm in the midst of preparing for the show again, but it's one of those things when it's happening, when I'm in Vegas for 8, 9, 10 days, like, it's like, hey, Brian, you're needed here. Hey, you're needed there. Hey, I'm at this event. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to cut you off. I have to leave. Because I literally talked to you and left because I had to go to another event. And so I said goodbye to who I had to say goodbye to and left, you know, because it was one of those weeks. So I'll give you my first AVN. Was it my first or second? No, it would have been my first. I was at Vivid and we won a ton of awards, right? Like, because that's what Vivid would do. Vivid would make movies and win a ton of awards. And there's a photo of me just corralling trophies, right? And the award show back in the day, it was at the Venetian at the Sands Expo, and you'd had this long walkway. They still do the long walkway, but it was like miles. And I had friends from the radio industry, actually, from the music industry. They came out because people came to AVN. They still do, but like back in the day, I had friends from the music industry. They would flood to Vegas. They would try to bring their bands. They would come. It was a big deal. And I walked by two of my friends who are like behind like a rope because they kept like the people away from like the people in the industry, like the Patreons, the whatever, who were just hanging out to look. And I see my friends and I'm standing there. I'm like, I couldn't even wave. I was just like, hey, what's up? And they're like, what? And I'm corralling all these AVN trophies. So it was really funny to like, for what it's worth, get my balls busted. Like, oh, you're better than us now. You got all your AVN trophies from Vivid. So sorry. You know, we're over here trying to like say hi to you.
And you're little people.
You're the little, and you're the big shot with all the trophies walking through.
Where do you put your trophies?
Oh, they were Vivids. They would go right to the office. So like Steven would have, you know, in his office, he would have this huge wall of AVN trophies.
Yes.
So you had to live up to that.
Well, where can people find you and hire you? And like, I want people to be able to come.
Thank you. So my website is bsgpr.com. And I always say B as in boy, S as in Sam, G as in Gross, my last name, P as in Paul, R as in Robert. bsgpr.com, and Twitter and Instagram at bsgpr. I love helping people who have a fascination with public and media relations. Never mind the adult industry. People are always fascinated with that. But if they're kin to like, hey, I talk to college students all the time. I have a bunch of my old stuff at UNLV right now on display from like the decades I've been in doing this. So that was really cool to be part of a university in that regard. But it's BSGPR. And I'm love to talk and you know, help people out as much as I can.
Yes, and you always have helped me. And that's why, you know, I think if people go back and listen to this again, they'll get more nuggets of what you've already shared as far as how to get started. Because get started first and put some effort into your own brand and then come to Brian so that he can actually do something with that. Yeah,
and be passionate. It's the only thing I ask. If you got to love this, because this is out there for the rest of your life. Once you put you out there,
all the titties,
all the everything, it's there. And it's there for what it's worth forever.
Yes.
So understand that, be proud, be passionate, love what you're doing. You will be successful. You will. I can't promise it in a day, a month, or whatnot, but longevity will breed success because you've put in the time, you've put in the effort. You've got a brand. You're building it. People want to come find you. If you half-ass this, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You're just not.
Well, and I've only been in, I guess, 5 years, but I feel like that's already outlasting a lot of people because I think 5 years is already longer than a lot of people are willing to put in.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing adult, but I'm also pivoting. I'm doing a podcast. I'm doing other things. I'm building in a different way.
And pivoting as much as just adding, you know.
Yes.
You can say pivot, but you're just adding to sort of what your brand is and what you want to do.
Yes.
Try everything, you know? That's the exciting part.
Well, I mean, I can talk forever. So here we are. It was just like a natural progression for me.
Very good talker.
Why, thank you.
We've spent a few hours doing
Yes.
So
many hours.
And many more to come.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
So I hope you'll come back.
Yes.
Beautiful. Well,
to it.
I'm going to put your links below any of the videos.
Cool.
Everybody check them out.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.